Stand still! My eyes are on the side of my head.
Okay.
Cut them down.
If they insist on a fight, I will oblige them.
I bring the storm.
Illuminate the enemy.
Guns blazing.
This battle will be won.
Get him, Tibbers!
Right between the eyes.
Skyner!
Hear that? Death's knocking.
All will drown.
Okay, welcome to episode 2 of TribalMind's Champion Rundown. This fortnight we're doing Rammus, the Armourdillo. Yes. Now Rammus is generally a jungler. He's an okay jungler, not great, not bad. He doesn't clear that well, but he's very good at ganking. Mostly because of that Powerball that just sends him flying through. He has relatively poor base stats, mostly because of his defensive ball curl, which we'll get to a little bit later. But otherwise, he's a pretty standard jungler. He's not great, he's not bad. He's, a standard jungler.
Yes. Hello everyone, I'm Viktor.
Yes.
And I am also here with Mr. TribalMind today, and because I've been a Rammus player for a long time. Not so much in recent days, but I do still have a collective knowledge about Rammus, unlike Zyro, which we did last week. But I'm very happy to be here, and I'm ready to talk about Rammus. If I want to weigh in on something about Rammus, it's that though he's not the best jungler out there, like when we come into like Magic Champions and stuff, it gets a bit hard for Rammus. But Rammus, he's a great jungler for learning how to jungle. I think he is one of the best next to Warwick. I think he is definitely one of the best. So if you want to pick up jungle, let's talk about Rammus right now, because I think you should go out and play Rammus for a bit.
Yes, I think we both started Rammus pre-30, didn't we?
Yes.
We both learnt jungler with Rammus, which is a pretty good example for how good he is as a starter jungler.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Now we'll go straight into his abilities. So now Rammus has a passive called Spiked Shell. It's a very basic passive. 25% of your total armor is converted into damage.
Raw damage, that's your auto attacks.
Yeah. Now, this isn't a huge thing, but it stacks well with his defensive ball curl, which we'll go over soon, and every bit of armor you get gives you a little bit more damage. It's not massive, but it has its uses.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very basic passive. Rammus is one of those much older champions, so we don't have as much of a complexity to him, would be the easiest way to say it.
Yes, that's a very good way to put it. Basically, with this passive, it's basically getting more bang for your buck when you're buying armored items. Something like a Frozen Heart, like got 100 armor on it. Awesome, you get 25 damage. That's just an example.
Yeah,
It's just making already gold efficient items more gold efficient if it has armor on it.
Basically. Now, this can be used a little bit if you chuck a bunch of armor on him very early, like in your runes and masteries. Mm-hmm. It can help you a little bit in clearing, because you take less damage and you still actually get that bonus damage. Especially in your masteries, things like quints can give you a nice chunk of armor, and you actually get more AD out of your quints of armor than you do out of AD quints.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, there's not too much of an effect there. So we'll move on to his Q. His Q is Powerball. This is your ganking tool. It is basically 7 seconds of ramping speed where you go flying at an enemy. Key problem, anything you hit will stop the Powerball.
Doesn't matter if you're not even clicking to attack it. If you run into something, you stop, short of walls, of course.
Yes.
That's minions, monsters, champions.
Yeah. So, while it's a great ganking tool, if there's minions in the lane and the enemy champion's on the other side of them, you're going to hit the minions. Some of the more professional players will actually flash straight over the minions, but that's a little bit more advanced, and you can only do it every 5 minutes.
So, if you're not 100% confident on the whole flash over minions, I know I did it for quite a while, you probably did it yourself. If you're not confident with that, especially like moving minion waves, it gets a bit tricky, and minion waves like to curl and jump into you. Sometimes it might be better if you're practicing Rammus learning him, just pick up Ghost. It helps your ganking so much better. You get almost double the movement speed, just about.
Now, as I said, this is a ramping movement speed,
Yes.
so the closer you get to the end of your 7 seconds, the faster you're moving. So it's good if you're first picking up Rammus. Jump into like a custom game and just see where you can start your Powerball to where you end your Powerball. Because the whole idea of Rammus is, it doesn't matter if they've got wards, if you Powerball in, you can probably catch them off guard anyway because you move so fast. Now, this is a relatively expensive skill. All Rammus' skills are actually quite expensive to cast. I think it's 70 mana, goes up to 110 at max rank. You pretty much only need 1 point in this until the end anyway, because his Powerball doesn't really do that much.
1 point wonder, it's not there for its damage, and the ramping movement speed stays the same across all levels. So, literally 1 point wonder. You don't use it for its damage, you're not there for its cooldown, which I think stays flat, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's about 10 seconds all round.
Yeah, so really there's no actual need to put points on Powerball because you're not really getting anything more out of it other than damage and a higher mana cost.
That said, if you're one of those people that likes having some fun, Powerball has a 100% AP scaling.
Yep.
So I would not recommend building Rammus as a mage, but sometimes you can get away with a top lane tanky mage, and that Powerball hurts like a buggery with some AP on it.
Yeah.
One thing I will mention, and this is coming up in a patch, I think it's the next patch, but probably by the time it comes out, the patch might already be out. Normally, Defensive Ball Curl, which is the next ability we'll go on to, would cancel Powerball. It still does, but as of the next patch, you get a 1 second overlap.
That's patch 1.17 or 18?
4.18.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah. I think it's 4.18, yeah.
Okay. So.
But yes, because this basically means you get an extra 1 second of Powerball while Defensive Ball Curl is running, which is actually quite useful, and we'll move on to that in just now. Was there anything else you wanted to mention with Powerball in general?
Yes. When you actually bump something with Powerball, they will get a slight little displacement, and I believe that is alterable, because it is considered a little bit of a knock-up, and it will stop them from moving. It's like a mini stun, because it's like a knockback. They can't do anything during that.
Yeah, it's a valid interrupt, so anything that's channeled, that's going to interrupt it. So,
Lucian's ultimate, you can stop that by bumping into him. And because you're a tank, that's very good, because you can run straight down the firing line.
Yeah, a Nunu ult, Katarina ult. I think, can you get Karthus with this? Will that stop his ult?
His
only a stun that will stop his ult?
I'm pretty sure it will stop his ult, because it is still displacement and it is a channel.
Alright. So yes, this is pretty much one of your key CC tools as Rammus. So yeah, anything else, or shall we move on?
Let's get into Defensive Ball Curl.
Okay, Defensive Ball Curl. This is what makes Rammus Rammus. Basically, for about 6 seconds, you go into a defensive ball. It gives you, starting at 40 armor, at max goes up to 120 armor, and magic resist. So, for about 6 seconds, you basically just become a tank, whether you build tank or not.
Yes, because 120 is huge.
Yes.
Huge. Doesn't matter if your name is Annie. If you've been given 120 armor and magic resist, you've just become a tank.
And now, what also happens is it returns a small amount of damage plus 10% of your total armor to anyone auto-attacking you. Or I think anyone doing physical damage to you, it returns it.
I'll just check that now. Keep talking.
Yeah. So yes, now, again, as I said, this activating Defensive Ball Curl will disable a Powerball, and vice versa, but as of the coming up patch, it will have that 1 second overlap where you'll have a Ball Curl and a Powerball running at the same time.
So you can cast it just before you whack into someone, and then rather than having to push 2 buttons before you get into E, which we'll talk about later, you only have to really push 1 really quickly. Helps when you're trying to not let someone flash away.
Yeah. Just always keep in mind the fact that it will definitely disable it after 1 second, so don't activate it too early or you're not going to get your Powerball knock-up.
Get a bit of practice in, is what we're saying.
Now, this has about a 14-second cooldown. I think it's a flat rate all the way around. So, basically, half your time you can use it, half your time you can't. Because 6 seconds, it runs for a 14-second cooldown, The issue with this is Rammus doesn't actually have that great stats without defensive ball curl. He actually has one of the best armor scaling in the game, but his magic resist is meh. And his health is actually quite atrocious.
Yes.
That said, you'll probably max this second, because we have a much more useful ability in the next one.
Yes, and to clarify what we were talking about before, this does not return like ability damage back, it returns auto-attack damage back. Basic attacks for comeback. It works exactly the same as the Thorn Mail item, if that still exists when you're listening.
Yes. So was there anything else you wanted to mention on Ball Curl?
That's all I really had.
Yeah, it's a very straightforward ability. Now, next coming up is Puncturing Taunt. This is Rammus's main CC ability. It is basically a you're going to attack me for a period of time ability. It starts at just over 1 second, 1.25, and at max it's about 2.25 seconds.
A long time.
Yes, this is a very long time for someone to only be able to auto-attack you.
One of the hardest single-target CC in the game.
Yes, the only other one is Fiddle's Fear, which is the same time rate.
Yes.
Now, this has a 12-second cooldown, so it's got a decently long cooldown, and it does actually give you a small amount of armor reduction on the opponent.
Yes, so it makes them a little bit more vulnerable while they're attacking you. So it's a taunt. Think of it like the name is. I'm shaking my ass at you. I'm like, hey, buddy, you suck. And he's like, I'm gonna get you. And he drops his guard and he makes a stupid aggressive attack against you. That's basically what's happening here.
Now, the trick with this is, particularly if you're against melee champions, you can activate this and walk backwards towards your team.
And they will
because
follow.
they have to follow you, yes.
They want to be hitting you for that 2.25.
Yeah. The only issue with that is if it's against a ranged champion,
They're just
by the time you actually...
off.
Yeah. By that stage, by the time your taunt wears off, you'll probably only just be at the edge of their auto-attack range, so there's no point walking away on that one.
Yes.
Now, as I said before, this is what you want to max first. This is your I'm going to help someone kill this person ability. I say that because Rammus isn't very good at actually killing people himself. Yeah, it's very simple. It works as a full combo. You powerball into someone, you puncturing taunt them, and then you defensive ball curl, and you do what you can to them. That's pretty much the main trick with Rammus.
Yes.
Anything particular you want to mention on puncturing taunt there? Puncturing taunt?
Yeah, sometimes when you're using puncturing taunt, it's like a tips and tricks sort of thing. Sometimes it might be worth just hanging on to it in a team fight, just because if you notice, like, the AD carry or someone is hard focusing one of your important targets, you can grab their attention, say, no, you're not attacking them, you're attacking me, buddy, remember? And they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm attacking Rammus. So they start hitting you. So very useful if you really needed to save a teammate. Puncturing taunt will do that for you.
It's very good for actually shutting down a combo mage as well.
Yes. You can grab them at the like just before they started, or halfway through it, they won't get the full combo out, and then they're useless because they've only got auto attacks against you. Like, at least if you hit someone like an AD carry with huge amounts of armor pen, they will actually, they can hurt you. You jump on a combo mage, taunt them, they're only auto attacking. They haven't got AD, they've got AP. They can only hit you with abilities, and they can't cast while they're taunted because it stops casting. The only thing that you can cast is some kind of cleanse, like Gangplank's
Remove
scurvy.
Yep. Or, Quicksilver Sash or something if they really want to waste that.
Quicksilver Sash, cleanse if you're running it. Not hugely popular. Mercurial Scimitar. Yes.
And also the Mercurials.
No. Mikhail's.
No, what's it called? Mikhail's, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. The Chalice upgrade item.
Yeah. Now, that said, this is also an interrupt.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, anyone channeling ability, if you taunt them, they no longer channel said ability. Very, very good for stopping a heavy dive champion. If you can get it on a Fizz before he goes on his troll pole, or if you get it on a Katarina as she jumps into your team, it's pretty much, you're now attacking me while my team kills you ability.
Yeah. And someone like Fizz or Katarina as well, If you're gonna lose the team fight, if this person really gets in there and your team needs to run away like a disengage, you can just taunt them and drag them out of the fight if you need to do that.
Yes.
It's got a lot of simple uses to it.
Yeah, it's a CC.
Yeah.
The point is, it is a very short-range CC. So keep in mind, you pretty much got to be standing on them to be able to use this ability. Mm-hmm. Now, if there's nothing else, we'll move on to the next one.
That's Rammus's ultimate.
Yes. This is called Tremors, or as some people call it, butt fart.
I didn't actually know that.
Basically, this is pretty much a AoE around him. It does progressive damage as each pulse goes out. This is really good for a few reasons. One, this is about the only thing you're going to do damage with if you build full tank Rammus. Mm-hmm. Two, you can take down buildings and structures with this. So you can pop it and sit under a tower and just take down the tower. Mm-hmm. Three, if you ever build AP, this thing hurts like a biatch.
Just to put that into it's 1,560 damage over the entire channel. Flat damage. That's not putting into account the 240% AP scaling if you hit someone with the full duration.
Yes, that is the largest AP scaling, I believe, of any champion in any ability in the game. Because I think Nunu has 200% on his Ultimate Zero, whatever it is. And I think 240%, I think that's the highest of any ability.
Huge.
Yes. Again, that said, you generally won't be building AP on Rammus, but yeah, this thing can really hurt people. You can also use it because it actually has a ridiculously short cooldown for an ultimate.
1 minute.
Yeah, so basically, you can use this to clear your jungle.
Mm-hmm.
Just pop it whenever you're sitting on a, specifically a buff, and you can clear out the buff pretty, well, I mean, quick for a Rammus. But you can clear out the buff pretty damn well with it, and it's not really costing you much.
Yes. It also has, it doesn't have a cast time. It doesn't stop you from moving like some abilities will. It'll just start going when you're doing it. So don't be scared like, oh, I'm powerballing, I want to activate my ultimate now so I don't have to fumble around with my abilities when I get there. You can literally pop it while you're chasing someone and it won't slow you down any.
Yeah, it is not channeled in any way, so there's no way to stop it once you activate it. Mm-hmm. Short of killing you.
Yes.
Yes, and generally you'd probably, it's pretty hard to kill a Rammus.
Oh, yeah. Easily, arguably, one of the tankiest champions in the game short of Alistar ulting.
Yeah, specifically late game. Mm-hmm. So, like, that's the most of his abilities, and as sort of said before, you pretty much want to max Puncturing Taunt first, Defensive Ball Curl second, Powerball, and of course just level Tremors whenever you get the chance to.
Yes, and the reasoning behind that, Puncturing Taunt starts at 1.25. You want to get up to that max duration as soon as you can because it just basically means your ganks get harder and harder and harder every time you put a point in it. Powerball, or Defensive Ball Curl, sorry, it makes you tankier. Every point you put in it starts at 40, goes to 60, goes to 80, goes to 100, goes to 120 armor magic resist. And the damage return goes up as well.
Yeah, whereas that Powerball, pretty much you get a little bit more damage on it each time, and that's pretty much it.
Yes. Powerball 1.1 though doesn't increase your movement speed at all. You start at 3%, you ramp up to 165 at point 1. By point 5, you start at 3%, you move up to 165%. Exactly the same. The only thing that scales, the damage. And also, we didn't mention this, when you hit someone, you slow them a tiny bit.
Very, very small slow.
Very
but it's
small slow. That scales from 20 to 40%. So you do have that as well, but to be perfectly honest, when you hit someone, you're going to taunt them. So that slow, you never use it.
Or, effectively, you can always delay your taunt for a short time, especially if you know they don't have a good escape.
Yeah.
But you're still, you're going to taunt them within a second of hitting them.
If it's someone like Lee Sin, Fizz, you bump into him, Fizz is going to troll pole out, Lee Sin's going to shield to someone.
Yeah. Or, someone's just going to flash. Mm-hmm. So you pretty much want to get that taunt off before they land from the knock-up of the Powerball.
Yes. But if we're talking someone like
Rise.
Rise, Vladimir probably fits in there as well a little bit.
He can troll pool.
He can pull, but his pull doesn't
Get him
very far. A lot of champions.
Anyone with no built-in escape has quite a bit of problems getting away anyway, so you can sort of delay your taunt just a little while to get that extra CC or that extra length of lockdown.
Yeah.
But it's an experience thing. You just learn over time whether or not you want to do it.
Yeah, like Cogmore is another one. He's not going anywhere when people get on top of him, let alone Rammus.
But always remember, like, if you're building full tank Rammus, you're not going to do much damage. You really don't do much. So you're literally there to hold them in place while someone else kills them. So don't go running ahead of your team 6 miles in front and then going, where was my team, when everyone jumps on you and kills you.
Yeah.
Because tank as you are, you're not going to survive 5 people.
Okay, so there. That's why you max Powerball last.
Yeah. So we'll move on to some tips and tricks. I'll go over mine, and then any that you have, we'll go over yours, Vic. Is that okay?
Go for it.
Okay, few minor ones, and the first one here is pretty much for any jungler. You don't have to use your initiation, or in Rammus's case, Powerball, as your primary ganking tool. You can, if your enemy is pushed up enough, just walk up to him with red buff and just start whacking them. The advantage of this is, when they then run, you can activate Powerball.
Flash, even?
Yes. And that gives you more chance to actually catch the opponent.
Plus, they're already slowed by red buff, so they're not moving very fast anyway. Like, a lot of people, even without a Powerball, can't get up to them. Now you're going to get up to them quicker, because you got that movement speed Powerball.
And you also then don't have to worry about running into minions. Because you can walk through minions, attack them with your red buff, and then Powerball when they're no longer next to minions. So you're not having that whole issue of trying to path around minions to get them with a Powerball. Now, I ran over it earlier too. You have that 7 seconds of speed up on your Powerball. So don't sit in a bush running Powerball for 3 seconds and then go in, unless you really have a good plan on that. Otherwise, you see a gank, Powerball well beforehand so that you're going to just come flying in past any wards they have.
Yep.
Because there's very few champions in the game. It's pretty much Rammus and Hecarim that can just bypass wards sheerly by speed.
Yeah.
There's other champions that just do trick things like Shaco and such as that. But pure, raw, I don't care if you see me, I'm already on top of you speed, Rammus has got that. And you really, really need to take care of looking at that and using that well.
Yes, Rammus is probably one of the best ones because he has the biggest movement speed buff in the game.
Yeah, I think I saw something saying if you combine summoner spells, items, and a bunch of abilities, you can get him up to 5,000 movement speed.
Yeah, I think someone tried that and they got from altar to the very top of, the very far corner on top lane in a couple of seconds. And,
Wouldn't recommend running that.
By the way, that's faster than Hecarim, the movement speed champion.
That's faster than a teleport, practically.
It is, actually.
Yeah.
So there you go, tips and tricks. Build Rammus full speed.
There is a troll build. There is a troll build that is 5, not Infinity Edges, what are they called?
Scimitars.
No, the double blade looking things.
Oh, Phantom Dancer.
Yeah, 5 Phantom Dancers and speed boots. It's known as Limousine Rammus.
No, I get, if I want to do something like that, I get Zephyrs.
Well, I've actually seen someone who's like, they've been playing like a 70-minute game, and they've just gone, screw this, sold everything, bought 5 Phantom Dancers and speed boots. And he auto-attacks so fast that by the time his actual shield was down, he'd killed people. And no one could escape him because he just bolted at them. It was rather funny.
Well, yeah, I built 5 Zephyrs on Fizz once, and my base movement speed was over 500. There you go.
Over 500.
Over 500. So yeah, if you want some throw builds, there you go. There you go. Yeah.
Yes, other ideas for troll builds is basically having a Zhonya's on him. Because then you pretty much do like a Canonalta or a Karthus AoE while you just sit there under Zhonya's. But anyway, yeah.
Actually, that's a question. If you taunt someone and then you Zhonya's, does the taunt end?
I believe it disables the taunt, yes, because you're no longer targetable.
Makes sense.
Speaking of taunt...
Unless the game just crashes.
No, it's been done often enough that I don't think the game crashes. But yeah, speaking of taunt, very interesting trick. If someone's diving you under tower or diving an ally under tower, taunting them makes them attack you. Makes the tower attack them. Very useful. You're not going to get a lot off, but it'll specifically stop someone from being able to just dive in and kill someone because suddenly they're attacking you and being hit by a tower. You can use this to try and save people, but keep in mind, yeah, you've really got to be quick with your taunt on those sort of abilities. Because most people will be like a Lee Sin queuing in, he'll probably kill you before you manage to taunt him anyway.
And especially if you have multiple people jumping in there, taunt the one that's going to do the most damage. Because if you taunt the tank and the tank takes aggro, well,
that's exactly what they want.
That's what they wanted anyway. So the enemy Lucian, the enemy Vayne, whatever, they're just gonna be like, oh, awesome! I don't have to worry about tower damage now. And Rammus is busy with this other asshole. I'm going in.
Now, that said, if you are trying to engage on the enemy, Rammus isn't that good at engaging. It's very blatantly obvious that you're powerballing towards them. So, if you want to engage, you probably want to have your flash up, but it's actually better to see if you can get another champion on your team that can engage for you. And you sit back as the front line and or as the sort of distraction to get people off your carries, the peel.
Yes. It's not a bad tip for the new Scion as well.
Yes, his abilities are very slow.
Who has a very Powerball-esque ultimate on the way. But we'll talk about him when we talk about him.
Yes. Feel free to send in who you want us to talk about.
Yes, of course.
Now, as I said before, Rammus is effectively an anti-assassin, anti-combo mage, and anti-auto attacker. The thing you need to keep in mind is assassins and combo mages, yeah, as Vic said before, taunt them, they're not going to hurt you much. You taunt a 6-item Tryndamere, I don't care how tanky you are, you better hope to God they can kill him before his ult comes up.
Yeah.
Because he will still tear you apart. That said, if you can taunt him and hold him in a taunt long enough for them to kill him without him using his ultimate, that is a really good trick to use.
Yes. You have to burst him really quick though, because he can still cast his ultimate while he's taunted. That is a very Tryndamere-esque thing they had to add, because Tryndamere was dying too easy. It was like, oh, it's Tryndamere again, let's just stun him and kill him before he ults.
But, yeah, you can at least, if he has already ulted, you can taunt him to stop him from running away as well. And the only other point I really make a point for general tips, your bull curl is going to give you extra damage.
Yeah.
So use that, especially if you're sieging a tower. If you're going under the tower, ball curl, activate tremors, and start auto-attacking the tower.
You get a spike of damage, tremors is killing the thing quicker, and it's very noticeable about the amount of damage every second it kicks. Bam, 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 bam.
And on top of that, you're then tanky as anything, so even if the tower targets you, you've got massive amounts of armor to handle it for a while.
Yeah.
So that's most of my tips. Any general tips you've got for Rammus?
No, sometimes when you're deciding between Ghost and Flash, Ghost is going to make you gank quicker. Like, a lot of people take, well, just about everyone takes Ghost on Hecarim, because one, it gives Hecarim more damage on his passive, but he bolts into a lane even quicker than he would before. His E is very, very similar to Rammus's Q. The only difference is Rammus moves a bit quicker.
It's also a shorter duration.
Yeah, so
I think he's only got 5 seconds.
So the Powerball will get you in there quicker if you take Ghost, and you'll be able to chase people harder if you have Ghost, but sometimes you might want to take Flash instead. I personally take Flash because sometimes there's something like I want a Powerball in there, and then this big line of minions comes up, and they're on the other side of it. I want to Flash to the other side. Or if it's something like a team fight, if I'm bolting in there and the tank comes and steps forward, sometimes it's too hard to run around him. I just want to Flash onto the other side. And also you got Flash if you take Flash, so you can still get over walls and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, the reason you sort of take that move speed on Hecarim is Hecarim actually does damage because you build him as a bruiser.
Yeah.
Rammus is purely a tank. You probably want that Flash more so that you can flash into the middle of the team and maybe knock everyone up, and a really, really skilled Yasuo can kill the lot.
Mm-hmm.
Or Flash over to just CC and hold down a AD carry or something.
Yeah.
Because these guys are going to run from you because it's very obvious when you're speedballing in there, powerballing in.
You can also take a like a top lane strategy for Rammus where you take Home Guard, Boots, Ghosts, and Teleport, and then you can do some serious ninja ganking. Where you teleport in somewhere and you got this huge burst of movement speed where you just come rolling into lane, and then you can help with the cleanup duty a lot better.
Yeah, that said, if you're going top lane as Rammus, you can actually build him with a bit of AP.
Yeah.
He doesn't do badly with a nice couple of tank
guys.
AP items.
Haunting Guys does very good on him. When you get into Leandry.
Sunfire Cape as well.
Sunfire Cape, Abyssal Scepter. We won't talk about builds too much, though.
Yeah.
That's something we want you to work out for yourself.
Yeah. The only other point is, when playing Rammus, you keep in mind that taunt gives 2 seconds, or just over 2 seconds, of free attack time. But you really have to be literally on top of them to use it. So there can be times where you're literally sitting there going, taunt, and you just can't catch up to them. You always got to keep in mind you've got to pretty much be right next to a person for taunt to work.
Yeah, they have to. Rammus doesn't have a lot of quotes, but Rammus is actually talking. It's just really, really quiet. So he needs to whisper in their ear for them to be able to hear his taunt. And they'll be like, "You fucking asshole!" And they'll jump on top of him. But they can't hear him when he's far away, so there's your problem.
Yes, there is actually a YouTube video of Rammus taunts everyone. Yes.
Stephanos Rex. Look it up. It was a proposed skin for Rammus. And I think the spiritual successor to that is actually Dunkmaster Darius. I don't know if you've heard these quotes, but he taunts quite a lot of people. Not as many as Rammus taunts everyone, though. But I really wish they made that skin. It came out in 2011. It's 2014 now, Rito. What are you doing?
They have some issues making skins that are designed by other people, though. This whole copyright crap.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all my generals. I'm going to go on to how to play against him. Anything else you got in general playing Rammus?
Nah, let's move on.
Okay, so playing against him, we've mentioned quite a few of the different things, but Rammus pretty much doesn't have any range. Mm-hmm. He's literally auto-attack based in pretty much everything he does, so he is quite easily kited, especially roots and stuns. If you've got anything that can lock him down when he's powerballing in, or specifically if you've got something he can hit, so if you've got a knockback, then that's going to break his powerball. No, actually it doesn't. It has to actually hit something, so if you're a Zyra and you put up one of your seed plants, that'll stop his powerball.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can hold him down and make him waste the powerball, there's not really any way he can get in. So basically he's weak against really good roots and stuns, and he also has a serious trouble with the highly mobile champions, which is kind of half the champions these days.
Yeah, that is really his big issue. Well, some would argue because of his taunt, he would do good against the high mobile ones because then they've lost their biggest power, moving around really quick. Like if you manage to taunt an Ari's gonna die because she's not going to be able to jump around as much as she wants to. So there is a bit of argument there as to whether or not he does good into the high mobile champs. Personally, I think he doesn't do so good into the very utility-heavy champs. Lux, Lulu, Morgana. Lux, and it's a lot of issue with movement speed-heavy champions. Like Rammus is probably the biggest one. Another one is Udyr. To get their ganks off, they gotta run into lane. That's why some people like to take Ghost on them, just so they get the quicker movement speed. But
Skarner sort of falls under that as well.
Yeah, Skarner, because he doesn't have a dash. He's got to get in there. He's got a range slow, so at least he's got something. But he still needs to get into range to get his passive stun off. Rammus still needs to get range to get his taunt off. Udyr still needs to get into range to punch them in the face, because Udyr is literally all auto attacks.
Oh yeah,
all of it is auto attacks. So
yes, whenever we go over him, we'll be going over the fact that blind is the ultimate counter.
Yeah. So with Rammus, I like Xerath. He runs into lane. Xerath sees him, throws a stun ball. Rammus has either got to dodge it, and that's slowed him down. Even if just dodging it, that's fine for you because you've slowed him down a little bit. Luck snare, hit him, bam, he's done. He can't.
Malphite's Q.
Malphite's Q. He steals Rammus's movement speed. Or Zed, if you've come into lane and Zed has built something like a Blade of the Ruined King, he runs up, Zed steals your movement speed, shadows away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's basically very hard to catch the highly mobile champions. As Vic said, if you catch them, you can hold them down, but the problem is catching them in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Some would argue he does have the movement speed to get there, though, and if Ahri's dashing away to get away from you, then you've already done a good job because Ahri's fucked away from the fight.
It's more teams that are designed like a Protect the Cogmore team. You're pretty much not going to get to that Cogmore.
Yeah, you'll never get to that Cogmore.
Yeah,
you
need something like a Vi for that.
Even if you burn your flash, you're not getting in there.
So yeah, that's one of the big things against Rammus. So if you see someone pick Rammus, pick someone that can easily knock him around. Alistar's a really good one for that too, if you want to protect your ADC. Or Thresh even. Now, the other thing is, expect that taunt. And keep in mind, especially at low levels, Rammus actually hurts. As he goes into tank, he's not that great, but very low levels, like pre-6, or especially at 6, Rammus can probably kill you one-on-one. And if he's smart, he'll be able to catch you out enough that he will try. So always know that taunt's coming down. Know that he's got it, and especially if you're a combo mage or someone like a Katarina, make sure he's used it before you jump right next to him.
Yes, assassins. Assassinating is all about time. If you catch someone by themselves, that's fine, you can assassinate. That's what Kha'Zix is best at. Someone like Katarina, so many times I see Katarina players engage the fight first. You can't do that because, unless you're literally playing against a team of no CC assholes that are a bunch of squishies, you gotta wait for them to blow all their abilities before you go in there and start using your big assassination moves, because you're gonna go in, you're gonna get taunted, you're gonna die, and then that's it. You've lost the team fight because your biggest damage person can't assassinate the high priority targets.
Yeah, so you've got to always watch out for that when you're playing an assassin champion, because he is one of the very good champions for stopping you from being able to jump in and kill people. The other point for playing against him, when his ball curl goes down, he generally doesn't have that much in the way of defences. He's still built tank, but he loses half his tank effects when that ball curl goes down.
Remember, it's 120.
Yeah. So it's kind of like Soraka's old heal, how it gave people 120 armor, and you pretty much just said, well, there's no point attacking that. Same rule. Don't attack him until that shield's gone down.
Yep.
If he's a tank, so you don't really want to be attacking him anyway, but keep that in mind. Something I didn't mention earlier too, in specifics. Rammus, build yourself health.
Yes.
He gets all that passive armor and magic resist. Build some, sure, but you get far better potential health from building health than you do from building armor and magic resist, because you already get that massive chunk of armor and magic resist from your abilities.
Yeah. See, Rammus starts at 420 HP and he gets 86 a level. I'm gonna do a bit of number crunching here, but if we want to put that into a bit of perspective with another big tank, let's say, who's another big tank?
Look at Nunu. I think he's got the highest scaling.
Nunu. We'll look at Nunu if I can find him. Wikia. I found Alistar. I'm pretty sure he has.
That'll do.
He has 102. That's a lot bigger.
Yeah. Rammus doesn't get much health. He never has much health, despite the fact having the highest health rating when they actually show him in the system, in the menu. But yeah, that's the main stuff. Anything you've got for playing against Rammus other than that?
Yeah, I was just doing a bit of number crunching. So Alistar finishes the game with 2,250 roughly. Rammus finishes the game. I said he started at 450, and he got 86 per level, so 86 times 18 plus 420. He doesn't even break the 2,000 HP mark when he finishes the game. He finishes on 1,950. So
you want to build that health on him.
Because then, it's nice having defenses, but if you don't have the HP to back it up, what's the point? It's like building stacks of armor and magic resist on an AD carry. That's great, but it's great. You're dying slower, but you got no HP to back it up.
And you also got to remember, anyone that is an AD or AP carry, they're going to build that magic pen anyway. So there's no point stacking too much of it, because it has reduced scaling the more you get anyway.
Yeah, there is a drop-off point. If you actually, while you're in game, if you hover over your armor and magic resist, it's got a little thing that pops up and shows you what your resistance is. Like when you get up to about the 70% resistance point, if you're building any more of that resistance, you're building probably too much. You can get up to 80%, but by that point you've got 600 armor just about. So
basically, once you go over 200 armor, you're just taking it too far normally.
Yeah.
Or magic resist, same thing. Yeah. But yeah, that was the main stuff. Any other points you want to make on him?
I think that's just about everything. Let's move into let's just get over these extra little things.
Yeah. So a few extra things. He has really high AP scaling. You can play him as an AP tank. He is quite decent against auto attack champions, specifically top lane against a Tryndamere or something like that. You can do it. Keep in mind of his high cost abilities though. All his abilities are like 70 or more mana, and you're going to burn through your mana pool quite quickly without a blue buff.
You can't be liberal.
No. That said, if one good idea is, if your lane's been cleared out of allied minions, walk up to the lane of enemy minions and just hit your ball curl, and you can normally just ball curl them all to death by them auto-attacking you.
And if you grab a Thornmail as well, that increases the effectiveness of your returning damage. So
I would suggest against the Thornmail in general, given, again, it's all armor, and you already get a lot of armor. He actually has really high armor scaling naturally as well.
Yeah.
You'd be better off probably getting a Sunfire Cape, because you'll still do that AoE damage.
Yeah, Sunfire Cape's good, but I think that in specifics, if you're looking at auto attack heavy champions, that's when Thornmail shines a lot, like Master E's and Tryndamere's. That's when you get the most benefit out of Thornmail. Otherwise, if you want that heavy armor, it gives 100 armor. If you want something that matches that armor, you look at Frozen Heart. Frozen Heart's just as good, if not, Frozen Heart's better because it fits into more situations.
Yeah, it's very hard to get away from a Frozen Heart.
And Sunfire Cape synergizes with his kit so well because while he's got that burning going and you're taunting someone, it's got the close range proximity there.
So yeah, feel free if you want to muck around with him, take him top and do some AP scaling. Still try and build a fair bit of tank early though. because he's still a melee champion, and he's not going to be very survivable if you're building him pure damage.
Yeah, and there are tanky items. There are armor and magic resist items that do give you health. Spirit Visage gives health, Banshee's Veil gives health, Randuin's Omen gives a lot of health, and Sunfire Cape also gives a lot of health. So look at those items for your build.
Yeah. Now, Rammus actually doesn't have any special interactions that I know of, mainly because I think he is one of the original champions. He came out way back in beta, I believe.
Yeah.
So he hasn't really had much updates. He does have, like, the whole reason he's called Rammus is supposedly a reference of ram us, because he rams into you. And interestingly enough, anyone who's played Rammus in English knows he pretty much has, okay, right, okay. And that's about it for his voice acting.
You can check that on the wiki. I'm sure you'll have fun with all of those quotes.
I'm sure I'll throw in a few if I can in post-production. He actually has full voiceovers in other languages. It's only in English he doesn't.
That's bullshit.
Yeah. I'd love to see what his taunt is in another language. I'll have to pull it up one day and see if I can translate it.
He's got a total of 7 quotes.
Yep.
In English.
So yeah, that's Rammus overall. Rammus has a few skins. Some are not available. His original skin was called King Rammus.
Bowser!
Yep, it is a Bowser reference. You cannot get this. This was released back in beta. You can't even buy skins anymore, so you literally cannot get this. Short of
we told you,
releasing it from Vault.
We told you, you cannot get these. I actually don't think when Riot opens a Vault you can get the beta skins.
No, not that I've ever seen.
So and that's the same for things like
PAX TF,
PAX Jax, the Mighty Jax as well. That's a beta skin. The PAX ones aren't beta skins; they're PAX skins, but the same goes for them.
Effectively, yeah.
You can't pick up those ones. Riot Singed is another one you can't get a hold of because it's so old. A lot of the ones that come out of the Vault are post beta, like they're mostly just recolor skins. Things like Spirit Guard Udyr will never go into the Vault because it's an expensive skin. It's a modern skin. And it changes a lot about the champion, unlike something like Nightmare Cho'Gath, which makes him blue instead of red.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
So other skins Rammus has.
He has Chrome Rammus.
Reference to Google Chrome. Same as Explorer Ezreal, Firefox Ari, and Safari Caitlyn.
Yes.
That's it, I remembered them all off the top of my head, asshole.
Well done. He also has Molten Rammus, which is effectively just a lava version of his standard skin.
And only comes available when the Vault's open.
Yeah, it's a very hard to get skin, but it's not a great skin in the generals.
And the polar opposite of Molten Rammus
is Freljord Rammus, which is pretty much just an ice version of Rammus.
And if we want to keep playing off the turtle idea of Rammus,
we have Ninja Rammus. Splash art looks awesome. In game,
it's purple Rammus with swords on his back.
yeah, it's not a great one in game. I'd like to see them actually revamp that a little bit. And finally is probably the most popular one that is played, Full Metal Rammus.
This one does actually change some animations a little bit.
Yes, you get bandsaws trawling around on the ground when you use your rolls.
And also when he spins, there's new sound effects. It sounds like a power tool starting up.
Now, there's not much else for Rammus. Apparently in his old lore, since the lore's being updated, I don't know how much of this is going to be real, but apparently he's good friends with Blitz. Blitzcrank, that is. Apparently Blitzcrank ran some sort of program he had that was like matching flesh creatures with flesh creatures. Rammus's best match is a cactus, though.
Awesome.
Yeah. The only other thing I know of is Rammus and Twitch don't like each other. Which is interesting. They both sort of have similar ways of creation. Rammus was created through exposure to magic, whereas Twitch was created through basically Teenage Mutant Ninja Styles goo. But yeah, apparently they just don't like each other. Not a surprise. I wouldn't really get along with Twitch either.
I'd get along with Twitch. We'd do alright together. We'd sit at home with this disgusting mess.
Yes, I'm sure you'd have a peg on your nose, though.
probably.
Yes, well, that's pretty much all for Rammus. That's how you play him, how you play against him, what you do with him, what he does. Any other things you want before we sign out? We've gone, Jesus, almost an hour for this one.
Well, however long we need to go for, the people need to know. And just think when we get into the more complex champions.
Oh, geez, can you imagine talking about, a 6-ability champion? It's going to be annoying.
Jace, please leave me alone. Oh, Elise, probably the most complex out of the lot. I don't even know.
Yes.
I don't even know half her abilities. A lot of them look the same. There's one that just looks like an extra auto attack, but it just does a whole bunch of damage. It's like, what? Okay,
Yes.
let's save all the other champion talk for another episode, everyone. My name was Victor. It was very nice coming on here. Hopefully we'll have a new guest host for you people in the coming weeks.
Yep, and I'm TribalMind. I am the host of the show, and if there is someone you want discussed, feel free to tell us about it. I'll be running a post point here that will give you a rundown of all our contact details, and it'll also be written in the details underneath the podcast when I put it up on the system. So that's about all. I'll sign off, and
I'm calling out Ryan El Chalad, by the way. I want you on because I'm sick of this shit. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I enjoyed it. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. I am Viktor Pradley of the GuckoPicsProductions network.
I am TribalMind of, this TribalMind's Champion Rundown. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you later.
Bye. Well, that's it for the day. Thank you for listening to TribalMind's Champion Rundown number 2, featuring Rammus. Guest star this week has been Viktor Pradley. You can contact him on his Twitter at Viktor, Viktor Pradley, Pradley. Your host today has been TribalMind. If you want to talk to me, or there is a champion you'd like us to discuss, send an email to tribalmind1@gmail.com or tweet me at TribalMind1. This has been a podcast of GuckoPicsProductions. Also check out our other shows, The Half Hour with Victor Show, A Few More Minutes with Victor, and a new YouTube show, League in 3 Minutes. They are all found under GuckoPicsProductions on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher. If you like our shows, give us a rating. We appreciate any feedback.